If you had told me a few years ago I could make IKEA cabinets look like this, I wouldn't have believed you. When we first moved into our house, this giant felt pin board took up the whole wall next to the breakfast nook. I loved the idea of using the space as some sort of command center, but I wanted to make it much better looking. I used IKEA Havsta cabinets and built a frame in between and above to help attach them to studs on the wall. Since the backing is basically glorified poster board, I added a strip of plywood across the back. These cabinets are almost perfectly squared, but there's a little lip at the top. So it's important to note that I flipped over the top cabinet so the lip met in the middle so that it was uniform across. I'm a pretty paranoid person, so I screwed into every stud I possibly could. I had chosen this trim before starting so that I could factor it into the design. And then I used a 1x4 and cove molding to make my own crown. I think someday I would like to extend the drywall on the side to make it look fully built in. But until then, I just added some trim to make it look pretty, a bunch of finishing work. I always use Zinsser Bin primer with IKEA pieces, or really any. It's my favorite primer for pretty much anything. I got these cool stackers to help me paint the cabinet doors. I am obsessed with this color. It is from the Magnolia Paint Collection. It is called, ironically, Coffee Nook. And I ended up using Benjamin Moore Advanced Trim Paint, but I was able to color match to that color Coffee Nook. After I apply the paint, I immediately go over everything with a dry foam roller to get rid of paintbrush strokes. I love watching painting time lapses. They're so satisfying, but there's nothing as satisfying as getting that second layer on. It makes such a huge difference. I left the space open in the middle for a coffee bar. I wanted to use pole wrap as my backsplash. I used a pre-stained wood conditioner before staining it dark walnut. I was able to use minimal nail holes because these faux floating shelves helped tack it in place, along with this remnant piece of quartz that I used for the countertop. To finish off these shelves, I used plywood I screwed in from underneath, and then I used these cabinet poles as my little guardrails and attached them before adding the piece below, and then I added a 1x2 along the front to complete it. Then I went a little rogue and screwed into my nicely painted cabinets to get a mug rack, but don't worry, I filled and fixed the hole. You can't even see it. I added an outlet for the coffee maker that runs through the cabinets down to a power strip below. That power strip also is what charges the vacuums. The vacuum charging station was honestly the main reason for this project and why I chose the tall Havsta cabinets. I had some fun picking out hardware and decorating the whole thing, and then she was done. I don't know about you, but I feel like this is way better looking than that brown felt pin board. And it's way more functional too, with all of the storage and the coffee bar in the middle. I probably should have put the knobs on the bottom of the cabinets that were on the top row, but for some reason I liked the look of them being more uniform. And that's it. Follow along for more.